Hi, and welcome back to day 2 of this Exploring Anxiety live week. And I'm not sure whether this event is going to show up or not. Um, I've shared it on my Facebook page, so hopefully people that are on my page will see it. I'm sorry, I'm just cleaning my glasses. I've got rubbish all over it, which isn't very good. So the people on my page should see it, but the event says that it's ended. So I couldn't share the event again, even though I'm going live on the event. So I'll post it on there. So if you clicked like on the event, then you will see this. If not, it'll be on my Facebook page. But I will do another event for tomorrow and set that up. I thought this would just do for the full week, but evidently it's not. My son's just messaged me literally 2 minutes before I was going live saying, "Can you not do the event now?" And the answer is no, I couldn't do the event now. So we'll just carry on regardless. So first off, I want to say a massive thank you to everybody that joined in last night for the comments that I got, which were lovely. I've also had a couple of questions which I will endeavour to answer or explore, seeing as though this is all about an exploration. So yeah, a massive shout out and a big thank you to everybody. I think the video has reached over 100 people, which is really good because that's the whole point of all of this, is to help and support as many people as I can. Leading on from that, I just wanted to say a few things. I've been also running an advertisement alongside this, which I started running probably at the beginning of January. It was around about the time that we went into lockdown. Hi Gemma, thanks for being here. 2 nights on the trot. You need to get something special for being here for 2 nights on the trot. So yeah, what was I saying then? That oh yes, I was running an advertisement alongside this for access to my Exploring Anxiety, just a little mini course, which is kind of along the same vein as what I'm doing now. And there was a link that was put in there so that it was a coupon and you could access that free. If you want to have access to that course, then please just drop me an email, jackie@jackiejones.co.uk, and I can send you the link if you haven't had access to the advert. But a couple of funny things happened. Funny things happened last night when I was going live. I got a lot of random messages coming up about some shared link malarkey thing, which I think was some sort of a gremlin or bot. I've been on today and deleted all of those because I have absolutely no idea what that was about. So if they pop up tonight again, I will delete them, but hopefully I've stopped that from happening. And the other thing was something I just wanted to touch on about negativity. And I have been running this advert and I've had a couple of negative messages on it, which straight away kind of gave me a bit of a jolt because it's a free course. It's a course that I spent quite a bit of time preparing for and doing, and I'm offering it for free with a coupon for people that are feeling the effects of anxiety at the moment. And I kind of thought, why am I getting negative comments about that? Annika, thank you for doing this, Jackie. It's so important topic to talk about, and everything you say is pure gold. Oh, that's so sweet of you. Thank you. See, that's why I do this. These comments are why I do this. So anyway, I had a bit of a jolt from these negative comments that were up there in straight away. But then the other side of me kicked in, and it was sort of more of a compassionate side, that those people that are putting negative comments on things, one, in a roundabout way, it did give me a bit of a boost because at least I'm reaching people, even if they're not my people. I'm reaching people, which is a good thing. The advert is actually, doing something for the money that I'm paying for it. And the other thing is that it kind of connected with my compassionate side and my empathic side, that for these people to think that what I was saying was free wasn't the truth and that there was some sort of catch in it, they must have been caught out at some point. by something else that was advertised as being free, and it turned out that it wasn't free. So I quite quickly connected with that compassionate side to me, that I wanted to reach out to them and say, look, just try it, just join in and see what you think. If it's not free and I'm not telling the truth, then I will hold my hand up, but it is free. So if anybody wants that link for the course, I think there's maybe a welcome video and then 3 short 10-minute videos on there, which is kind of similar to the stuff that I'm going to be talking about this week anyway. But feel free to message me, jackie@jackiejones.co.uk, and I will give you that information completely 100% free. So I'm going to blow my own trumpet for a while here, just to prove those negative Nellies wrong. I do a lot for free. I'm doing this for free. I've got a free support group. I work with parents as well, so there's a free support page for parents. There's a free support page for anxiety, stress and overwhelm. I do a podcast that you can access for free and you can listen to. I've got a YouTube channel that I attempt to put all my videos up there. It is quite time consuming, but you can access those for free. There's videos of the podcasts that are up there as well. So, in my defence, I am trying to support as many people as possible that I can do with no cost at all. And the other stuff that I have done has been at a very low cost. So I just wanted to get that out of the way. But also a massive thank you for my tribe, the people that do follow me, the people that do, give me feedback on how it's helped them and things like that. I really do appreciate it. So I just wanted to touch on that to start off with. And yeah, the other thing that, talking about negative people, it's really difficult when you are around negative people to not join in with it somehow. I talk about my mum a lot, God love her. This kind of follows on from last night's topic where I was talking about generalising and the way that we can sometimes think about certain things. That my mum can be a bit of a negative Nelly. She always thinks, she would be one of those people that comments and saying nothing's for free, because that's her life script. That's the kind of thoughts that she's got in her head, whereas I'm a little bit more gullible than that, and if somebody says it's free, then I just assume that they're telling the truth and it's free. But again, it just touches on the fact that as human beings, we are all unique. Our life experiences and maybe the upbringing that we've had has kind of clouded some people's judgment, and other people are all rainbows and lollipops and candy floss and everything is fine. And that's something that I want to talk a little bit more about tonight, how our upbringing can impact on sometimes the messages that we pick up from people. The other thing, I haven't actually read it, I will confess I've not read it from cover to cover, but this book that my sister gave to me, and I'm ploughing through it. It's got really small writing in it. It's very small writing. But I've also got this on Audible, so I do listen to this. My camera's gone a bit funny because I've just zoomed in. And it talks about the idiot brain and how our brain works. And being negative a lot of the time is something that our brain does naturally with evolution. I'm just going to put my hand up over the camera and see if it sorts itself out. That's better. So yeah, part of being a human being means that we are defaulted to a certain extent to pick out the negative things. It's part of our survival mechanism, and it goes back to caveman times, that we needed to focus on the negative stuff in order to survive and to keep alive. If we were walking through the fields and there was, a branch had been snapped off, or there was a footprint or something of a saber-toothed tiger, we needed to notice that so that we knew that there was danger about in order to survive. And that's part of us that is still there today, even though we don't necessarily need it quite as much, because there are no dinosaurs or saber-toothed tigers or things like that around. And an example of this, and again, I use this quite often, is if I get my son, my 16-year-old, to tidy his bedroom up, and he's gone for all of 15 minutes and comes down and says that he's tidied up his bedroom, I know for a fact that I can walk into that room and I will be able to point out everything that he hasn't done within seconds of opening the door, because that's my default, is I can notice the things that haven't been done, the things that should have been done, the things that is hidden under the bed, and all those 101 things. But it takes more effort for me to notice the things that he has done. Hi Shirley. So I want, again, to be compassionate to the negative people that are out there, and to just, give them a bit of a break. When we're negative, when we're critical about certain things, it's usually because we're trying to protect ourselves from something. So yeah, I'm not going to slate the negative Nellies out there. I'm going to just put on my rose tinted glasses and be compassionate with those people, because we all do the best that we can with what we've got available in that moment. And if those people have had bad experiences in the past, in connections with other people, or being gypped or anything like that, then I'm the last person to be even more critical about that. So I just wanted to spend a few minutes talking about how our brain is set up to notice the negative things. It's part of our DNA to a certain extent as human beings, and it is a survival mechanism, which again leads on to the anxiety, and that is also part of our fight, flight and freeze, the survival mechanism that we have. And the more that I talk with clients, and the more lives that I do, the more I kind of think that I'm looking over there because I've got my board again. I'm not ignoring you. Eye contact is a big thing for me. A lot of the time people want to get rid of anxiety. They want to stop it. Hi Debbie. I'm so pleased that people are saying hello that are watching. I was going to say that was on my list of things to do. Who's watching and say hello, but people are actually doing it. So maybe I'm sending good vibes out tonight. I really appreciate it. Oh yes, that was it. The people want to get rid of anxiety. That's it. I want to stop feeling anxious and I want to get rid of it. And the more we try to avoid anxiety, the more we try to not be anxious, the more we try to not think about anxiety, we're actually bringing it right up close to us, and it becomes the center of our attention and the center of our focus. It's kind of like that age-old thing where people say, don't think about a pink elephant. The first thing that you think about is a pink elephant. So often trying to avoid anxiety kind of bites us on the butt to a certain extent, because in trying to avoid it, we have to think about it first in order to avoid it. So it's not always the best thing to do. So one of the things I talk about a lot with clients, and I run a private membership, and it's one of the things that we talked about quite early on in that, was to kind of befriend your anxiety, or at least get to know it a little bit. Give it a shape or a form or something. And the more we spoke about this in the membership, the more abstract things tended to get. But I just loved the way that people think about certain things. Because when I think about anxiety, I do give it a shape and a colour and a size and everything else. And it's something that I can visualise to a certain extent. But what other people were coming up with about what their anxiety looks like to them, or what it resembles to them, was phenomenal. We had so many different examples of what it looks like. So rather than trying to ignore it, if you feel confident enough, or if you feel safe enough, I would like to challenge you to just explore your anxiety a little bit this week. You can message me with pleasure at any point, not just this week, but in future. I'll put my email address in a link under this tonight, so that you can contact me. And feel free to join the private group as well. But just be curious about your anxiety and try to. Oh, see, my son's watching this, obviously, bless his heart, because he's just put a link up for me, which thank you so much. Um, so one of the things I would like you to do this week is to really, delve deep on your anxiety, and rather than being fearful of it, kind of look at it with compassion, because I do see our anxiety as something that is trying to protect us from something it thinks we need protecting against, if that makes sense. It's kind of like that friend that I was speaking about last night that's always there, that's just hanging around. And our anxiety is trying to prepare us for worst case scenario. Our anxiety is trying to prepare us from being hurt or harmed or anything bad happening to us. So it gives us these messages constantly: watch out for that, don't do that, don't go there, don't do that, don't speak to them. You know, scared of shadows because it doesn't know what's in the shadows. So it's constantly prompting us and protecting us. So I'm not sure how you feel about that. You can comment in there if you think, what is this woman talking about? She's off a rocker. My anxiety is just bad. I don't give it a shape or a form or a colour. But just for tonight, maybe explore that. One of the other things that, again, that links into is, I know I touched on it last night, that I was trained in transactional analysis. And one of the first bits of theory that I learnt when I was doing my training was the ego states, which I can put some things up in the group around this if you want to. But there's it's like three circles that are interlocked. There's the parent, the adult, and the child. And I see my anxiety as being very much in my child ego state, because it hasn't got the life experience to work out what I need to be fearful of and what I don't. So it's kind of like a young child that's scared of everything. That's how I see my anxiety. So my job as adult Jackie is to kind of get into my adult ego state and to calm my anxiety down, to just let it know that it doesn't need to be constantly on guard. It doesn't need to be scared of everyday normal events, because nothing bad is going to happen. And that thought process for me is quite calming, because if I listen to my child ego state, or if I listen to that, I see mine as a bit like a gonk, like the ones that you used to have in the fairground that's got, it's very bright, is my anxiety. It's not very big, it's very bright, and it is quite cute and cuddly. It didn't used to be, but it is now. But I want to kind of just let it know that everything's okay. I'm in charge. If I need you, then I'll give you a shout. But at the moment, everything's okay, everything's under control. So I'm just going to keep going. So you just need to quieten down a little bit. And that for me was quite a big insight. It just gave me a different way of looking at something that I had been fearful of for an awful long time. Some people say it's a shape. Some people say, there's lots of things on the internet, particularly around children, that I'm not 100% sure about whether I like it or not. Is a worry monster. For young children, if we talk about monsters, it's not always the best vision that they have. Um, give your worries to this monster and it'll eat them up, type of thing. I'm not sure about that. But for some people, that's how they see their anxiety. It's a monster. It's big. It's dark, or whatever it is. So just play around with that in your mind. Just explore and have a play with what anxiety is for you. What do you see? What do you hear? What do you feel with your anxiety? And let me know in the comments. Send me an email. Let me know what comes up for you. So that was one of the things that I wanted to touch on. The other thing was, I'm going to keep this confidential, because if people do message in the private group, I don't want to share too much. But somebody mentioned about automatic reactions to things, and I refer to this as being triggered, and I talk quite a bit about being triggered by certain people in my life. If I see their name pop up on a message or something, it's like, whoosh, I'm straight there. There's no thought process, so it doesn't feel like there's a thought process in it, and I just get rubber banded back to a place where I can feel tightness in my chest, and I can feel lots of emotions surfacing. And again, you know, whether I break that down, whether I work it out, whether, my head is saying, they're making me feel this way, they are making me do this. Ultimately, and for me, the bottom line is it's not helpful. Um, Whoever it is that is triggering you, or starting this automatic response, is living their life quite happily without a care in the world, probably. And I was the one that was left with all these feelings, and I didn't want to give that any more energy than I needed to, if that makes sense. So if you feel like you're being triggered, or if there's an automatic response to it, maybe look at it from a different point of view, that you are in control of it. Yes, we get sucked into it, and yes, our emotions can take over so that we're not actually thinking. But as soon as you realize that you're in that, that's when you can decide what your actions are. There's an equation, I spoke about it last night, and I will keep talking about this equation, that there's always a thought before a feeling. It might come so fast, the feelings, after we've had that initial thought, but thoughts create our feelings 100% of the time, and then we have a choice how we act on it. And that choice how we act on it, to me, was the first insight that I had. And I chose to not give that person or that event any more energy. If we think about it realistically, whatever it is that's triggered us, whatever that automatic response is, it's happened. It's already happened. And I survived it. Whatever it was, I got through it. If I'm here now in front of you, then I survived it and I got through it. So I'm not going to use any more of my energy on that event. I'm going to use that energy on me, on my self-care, on looking at, maybe possibly looking at a solution to it, what I can do to lessen the impact of it happening again. But when we're triggered and it feels like an automatic response, we can't stop it a lot of the time. But what we can do is build up awareness around it. That as soon as we start to get that feeling and that emotion coming, that our brain can then click in and say, we've done this before, I know what this is because of X, Y, and Z, and I don't need to react to it. So I hope that kind of helps. But again, if it's difficult for you to understand because of the examples that I'm giving, then please get in touch with me and I can try and phrase it in a different way. All the courses that I do and all these lives that I do, one of the things I would like to get across is that I can only see things through my own eyes. I talk a lot about what works for me, and it might not work for you, but it's about me tweaking things. Hopefully throughout this week something will resonate with you. Something I say will just tweak your interest, that will encourage you to look at things a little bit different maybe. And I know I said yesterday that I don't really do top 10 tips. I'm not one of these people that will, go on the internet and say, do this, and the other, and you will be rid of anxiety for the rest of your life. I will give little snippets of things that work for me in the hopes that it works for you. But you need to be invested in this journey of self-discovery or whatever it is. I want you to really prioritise yourself throughout this, to explore and to work out what works for you and what doesn't work for you. If we try something and we fail, it's not a bad thing. It's about understanding, fail is first attempt in learning. That's what it is. But just being compassionate with yourself and being kind is one of the ways that you leave the door open to try something new. And that's all I would ask of you. So I've spoke about thoughts equals feelings. Mindfulness is really good, being in the here and now. If touching back on our ego states, which is parent, adult and child, the here and now stuff is in, we're very much in our adults. That's when there's information in and information out. It's kind of like you type something in a computer or you type something in Google and it gives you a response. That's what here and now stuff is. And when we're toying with mindfulness, that's all it's focusing on, is the here and now stuff. When we start to worry about the past and it happening again and trying to predict the future, that's where a lot of our anxiety can reside. If we're in the here and now stuff, we're usually very solution focused. We're usually switched on, our thinking is there, and we're just living our life quite happily. But when we look backwards or we're trying to predict the future with our wonderful little crystal ball and everything, that's usually where we can kind of meet our anxiety head on. So yeah, that's just another little snippet for you to muse over, because that's all I want you to do, is to just muse. The title of this is Exploring Anxiety, and that's what I would love for you to do, is to just dip a toe in and just explore certain things. What else have I? Oh yeah, keep an eye on your inner dialogue, the way that you talk to yourself. See, again, I'm gonna talk about how I see things through my eyes, and I might be giving away a little bit too much and stuff, but I do talk to myself an awful lot. In my head and sometimes out loud, and I'm not sure whether that's normal a lot of the time. So please comment if it's something that you do. But if I'm doing something and I notice changes going on, I will actually talk myself through that. I'll share an example. The early, see, did you notice that intake of breath that I did then? That's how subtle our thoughts are, that can create a chain of events that happen, that we think it, anxiety just happens to me. It just comes out of the blue for no reason. As I was talking, I was thinking about something that happened, and I noticed that I took that big deep breath in. That to me is that first thought that's starting the chain reaction. But because I'm a lot more aware of it now, I catch it, and that's how all this stuff works. The more aware we are of it, the more we can catch it and just slow things down. It's not going to get rid of our anxiety, because it's still there, because it thinks it's protecting us from something, but it just slows the whole process down so that we've got time to think and sort out what's going on. What I was going to say, breath again, was when we first went into lockdown and we were told that we needed to wear masks when we were going shopping. I don't like wearing masks. I'm not sure that anybody does, but it was quite a big, I'd worked it into a big deal, and it was the first time that I was going. Shirley said that yes, I do this too. I'm not sure what you're referring to, but I'm glad it's not just me, whatever it is. But I psyched myself up. I needed to go and do the big shop, and I knew that I needed to wear my mask, and it had kind of been playing on my mind probably for the week running up to the big shop day. So I knew I wasn't going to be on my top game at that point, and I was in the car, and as I was driving to the shop, I could feel myself breathing a bit differently. I could feel the tightness in my chest starting to come, and I hadn't even got it on. It was still in my bag. I was on my way to the shop, and I can remember sitting in the car actually chuckling to myself. Talking to yourself. Well done, Shirley. I'm glad it's not just me. Sometimes I do think I'm losing my marbles. But as I was driving to the shop, I started talking to myself about, what are you doing, Jackie? Why are you working yourself up into a frenzy? You've not even got to the shop yet. There's no reason why you're reacting this way. And that's kind of what I mean about putting your rose-coloured glasses on and being a little bit compassionate with yourself, because ultimately you are doing the best that you can with what you've got available at the moment. I'm learning new things every day. When I'm talking about exploring anxiety, I'm just a few months ahead of maybe where you are. I haven't got all the answers, I don't claim to. And I'm sure if I look back on these videos in 6 months' time or 12 months' time, I will have learnt an awful lot more about it. I did this with Mask 2, Jackie, because I had heard people saying about how claustrophobic they were and overthought it. Yeah, I don't know where it came from. It just it's not natural. It's not something that we do. And for me personally, one of the big things with me is trying to not have my glasses steam up. I am as blind as a bat, literally. I can't see anything other than light and dark out of one eye, and my other one isn't that spectacular either. So when I walk into a shop and there's a change in temperature, I just steam up. I can't see anything. So apart from having this over my mouth, I'm blind as well, which doesn't help. But I do laugh at my reaction to certain things now. I don't jump in the anxiety party as much and as often as what I used to do. I will just stop. I will take a moment, give myself a bit of a hug, metaphorically speaking, and like, come on, we need to eat. We need to get some food. Let's just get in and get this done. And if it means I've got to lift my mask off my face a bit and breathe out, then that's what I'm not going to beat myself up over it. But that was just an example that I wanted to give to you about as soon as I thought what I was going to say in this video, my breathing changed. That's how quick this can catch us out. So I still get triggered. I still get caught out. But when I'm in it, I know I'm in it and it doesn't last as long. And for me, that's a big thing. It means that I'm not as fearful if I start to feel anxious because I know it's going to end. It means that I can get back into my thinking an awful lot quicker, but I still get triggered. So yeah, I just want to let you know that when I say I'm not going to give you 10 top tips to rid you of anxiety, it's because if there are any, I haven't worked them out yet because I still get triggered and I still have moments of anxiety. And again, touching on what I said last night, it all depends where my state of mind is as well. If I'm tired, if I'm not in a good place, it takes me a little bit longer to catch the thoughts. It takes me a little bit longer to settle things down. But I know that's just because I'm a human being, and it means that my thoughts about things has shifted. That's all that's happened. There's nothing physical going on. There's nothing wrong with me other than my state of mind is kind of low. And one of the things I talk about quite a bit in my private groups and in the membership is that our state of mind and our awareness and consciousness, if you will, it's kind of like an escalator or a lift, and it goes up and down, constantly shifts throughout the day. So I can wake up in the morning and feel on top of the world, and something will happen that will make my state of mind or my, thought process drop slightly. So if something else happens, it's going to hit me a little bit harder and a little bit deeper. And I might go down a little bit more. I might even get off the escalator and be in a real funk for however long it takes me to get back on the escalator and come back up again. But I know that that's just part of being a human being. It can depend what day of the week it is. It can depend what day of the month it is. It can depend on whether it's raining. It can depend on lots of things. But I know it's not going to stay in one place. It's going to shift. It's going to go up and it's going to go down. And I just kind of allow that to happen because it's going to happen anyway. It's just how long it stays in the not such a good place. Because the more I overthink it, the more I try and work out a solution, the more I get angry about whatever it is that's going on, the more it's come really close and my focus is on that. And I'm not going to waste any more energy on the bad stuff than what I need to do. As soon as I notice what's going on, I'm going to get back on the escalator and just bide my time until it comes up again. I think that's pretty much everything that I wanted to cover. I'm putting some things in. When I talk about the thoughts and the feelings, and then there's an action, or I talk about a shift in our state of mind and the escalator, and that there's always a thought before a feeling. That's a principle, and it's an understanding that is called the three principles. The three principles are thought, mind, and consciousness. And I can talk a little bit about that if you want me to. just send me a message in this or whatever, and I can talk a little bit about that as we go through the weeks. But it being an understanding is, it's kind of like you've got to wholly accept that that's what it is. And that was really difficult for me when I started exploring this, because I was like, yeah, but what if this? And that one particular person in my life that I do refer to quite, he definitely triggers me. He did stuff, and that's what makes me feel this certain way. And I had to put all that down, because it's an understanding and it's a principle, and it just is. And that was quite difficult for me until I started reading things about it. And it's kind of like gravity. Gravity is a principle. I'm not a scientist by any shape of the imagination. Anybody that knows me knows that I'm not the most intelligent person. But I know if I drop something, it's gonna fall to the floor. I just accept that that's what gravity does. I don't really know how it works. I just accept that if I drop a pen, I don't know whether you can see, if I drop a pen, it's gonna fall down. I don't spend all day dropping things just to test that it's still working, or that gravity is still doing what it's supposed to do. And that's kind of like what the three principles are. It's an understanding that our thoughts create our feelings, and then we have a choice whether we act on it. And to a certain extent, it's just about putting down a lot of our preconceived ideas around what it's like to be a human being and how it works. Because we all do this anyway. It's not that we need to learn how to use the principles. We do it anyway. It's just that sometimes crap gets in the way of it. Sometimes people talk about it kind of being like the sun is always behind the clouds. We just trust that it's there. At night it goes down, we just trust that it's going to come back up the next day. We don't really question it. I don't want to question it. I know that somewhere above the clouds and the storms and all that other stuff that's going on, the sun is up there. That's it. It's a belief, and it's an understanding that I have. So it might sound a bit airy-fairy, but it worked for me, and my hope is that you will get something from this, that you can just hook something on and see how it feels for a while for you. Because the bottom line is, if you explore these three principles, and if you give your anxiety a shape and a form and a colour, and do all of this stuff and nothing changes, you've not lost anything. You can pick up all the other stuff that you've put down and run with it, and again, that's your choice. So I'm going to finish there. I make a cuppa every night, and my mouth is so dry for talking for 40 minutes, and my cuppa's always cold. So I'm going to end this there. A couple of reminders. You can join the private group. It's free with pleasure. You can listen to the podcast, which is Living Life Being Human with Jackie Jones. If you just type in Living Life Being Human podcasts, it will come up. I will be back tomorrow. Again, it won't be the full hour probably. I've got clients tomorrow night. Wednesday night's my busy one on a Wednesday. But I will be on here. I'm going to create the event again so that it can be shared if anybody wants to. If you have any questions at all, then you can contact me. I will put my email address at the bottom so that you can get in touch with me. And just be curious. Be curious and use full stops like it says on there. Be curious about what your anxiety means to you. Be curious about whether it's got a shape or a form. Has it got a name? I don't know. It might. I want to say Eric for mine. I'm not sure where Eric came from. But yeah, just play with your thoughts and muse over a few things and see how you get on. And feel free to give me some feedback and to comment on if anything has tweaked your interest, or if you think, yeah, not sure what she's talking about at all. Feel free to get in touch, and I shall see you hopefully again tomorrow. And thank you for the messages. It really does mean a lot when people just pop on and say hello. So enjoy Wednesday, and I'll see you soon.